Hallo, welkom hier so by Farmboek. Okay, die Massey Ferguson RB2125 ronde Baler. So hulle het besluit om hom in te skryf in die Baler races in. So Thomas het hom al die pad ingebring van Duitsland af. Hy gaan ons 'n bietjie vertel wat is die ins and the outs van hierdie Baler.
Thomas, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good. So tell me a little bit about yourself. You're from Germany, eh?
That's right. I'm directly working in the Baler factory, the former Baler factory, and I'm responsible for product training and advertising. And my job today is to introduce you to the new Massey Ferguson Baler.
And on that note, so Massey Ferguson or Acker basically bought the old Welga Lely, and they basically formed the whole Welga factory into Massey Ferguson. So what was the main reasoning behind that? Why did they go that route?
Well, I think they saw that the Welga balers used to be and still are the benchmark in the baler market, so that we can say without lying, because these machines are really designed for heavy loads, for silage. I can tell you, we test the machines in Ireland, for example, where they're really baling in the rain. Heaviest bales came out of the machine, and that is what they are designed for. Really heavy bale loads, and that with a tremendous throughput.
So you're talking heavy bale loads. What are the, how many kilograms are we looking at a bale? You're talking wet bales, so how heavy are they?
Of course, with wet bales we are talking about 1 ton to 1.5 ton, and that with
1.5 tons bales. So but what's the load that has on the bearings?
Yeah, that is difficult to measure, of course, but you can imagine that it is the biggest possible. If you have a bale load of 1 ton to 1.5 ton, bigger it can't be, and all the dimensions of the bearings and the rollers are really equipped for heavy loads.
So what you're telling me is that like in normal circumstances, like here where we've got grass, where you're looking maybe at 300-400 kilograms a bale, you will never, I will never say never, but the chances that you can damage a bearing and those things are very slim.
Yeah, it's really difficult to reach an overload in dry matter content, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so enough about that. Let's talk about the baler. Okay, so the RB2125, so what does that number stand for?
Yeah, that is RB like round baler. That's typical for Massey Ferguson. The 2 is just a series. With 1.25 m, we refer to the bale diameter, and the F stands for fixed chamber. So we saw it there. You see easily what the baler is made of.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense. I'll remember that part. Okay, and so I think where do you want to start? At the pickup. So in terms of what is the pickup, and why is this different from the old Welga?
Yeah, that's a good question, very good question, because that also was my target, to point out the pickup. We see a cam-less design here, not the former, what many farmers are used to with cam-track. Cam-track pickups, at least at Welga, always had 4 tine rows. We now went to 5 tine rows with a cam-less design. Cam-less means that the tines are not steered anymore, so we have much less moving parts and much less wear, which enlarges the lifetime of the baler. So we saw after introduction of this pickup that warranty costs for us as manufacturer went down tremendously, and we see that the machine is working really well with this special design.
Okay, and I think let's just take a look here underneath. So each of these tines, is there any special design to the tines themselves, or is it just your usual tines?
Yeah, if you compare it to competition models also, and also to former cam-track pickups, the tines are coming out very wide out of the pickup, so that means there's quite heavy loading capacity. They are very strong but flexible, so they nearly never break. Of course, there are always limits of every tine,
yeah,
for sure, but the volume that you can reach during pickup is really huge.
A lot higher than it used to be. And then in terms of let's call it where the throughput, or at the back here, this one is not a rotor cut, or the cut, what do they call them?
Yeah, that's
some other cutter.
That's just one type of feeding unit here. So this rotor is designed for feeding, because you see there are no knives in, but this special version has a cutting rotor. You see this double finger, and we see that this rotor has an even bigger throughput than the single finger rotors of competition or of the entry models that you know. Yeah, which is something which needs to be emphasized is the low distance between pickup and rotor. That is very important for the crop flow, that no material builds up in this area. And this
So
is
you're
what,
talking about this area specifically?
yeah, right.
Okay.
So if this distance is very low, the crop flow is very even, and the machine can run without problems, even in heaviest crop.
So on that note, I just want to know, so before we get in too much detail so that people can know, what would you say, what is your biggest advantage that you've got, you think, for this race tomorrow? Or on, yeah.
Yeah, I think we are in the right direction already. The pickup performance is very important. So you have to pick up the crop independently which speed you are driving. And then the next unit, the rotor, is very important because it is nothing worth if the pickup can pick up much crop, but the rotor is not able to feed it into the chamber. And that is another very big patent, old Welger patent already, that the floor is suspended. So we have this special hydroflex floor. That means if there come little overloads to the rotor, the floor is able to move down a little bit, to evade 2 centimeters down, so it gets another space for the material to get through. And
are you then almost working on momentum?
Okay.
You're almost working on momentum. One to put it aside, it gives a little bit and then it pushes back.
Yeah, that's in fact this is what happens.
Wow, that is interesting.
And where others already have a blockage, there we can still drive because the floor just gives the space.
Ah, awesome. That works. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the side here. What magic is happening inside the baler? Can we open it up here?
Maybe we should open here for that. So 2 spots always for safety. So what you can see here on the right hand side is the rotor drive line. You see with our gearbox you always get the power split. That means the rotor drive line is on the right hand side and the whole chamber drive line is on the other side.
So it goes in there from the PTO?
Yep.
So basically, let me just get in here. So it goes in there and then it splits. So you've got almost, want to say, a 50-50 distribution of your power.
Yeah.
One to the one side, one to the other side.
Of course, this is the target, to have 50-50. Of course, sometimes that is a little bit different because the rotor has to work more at the beginning, the chamber has to work more at the end of the bale, but in general it's 50-50 distribution.
Okay. Proper chains that you've got on here, what is the maintenance on those things? How long will they last before I need to replace them, and like the sprockets and so forth?
Yeah. Yeah, of course, this is also a part that we are testing in heaviest conditions, in really wet silage. And if you want to cut the heaviest crops, you need to use the heaviest components. So you see we use Tsubaki chains.
Yeah.
So in all our tests, and we are really steadily testing the chains, always the Tsubaki chains deliver the best results. You see we are using a duplex chain.
So that is a specific brand of chain.
Yes, right.
And important again, when, let's say I've had the baler for 2 or 3 years and I then need to replace the chain, need to put the Tsubaki on there, there's a specific reason. I can't take any, I can, but it would be stupid to do it.
Yeah, stupid, I don't want to say stupid. You can always choose also other chains, because especially if you're not driving in silage, the load is not that heavy. But I think this is the best. It's well proven with the longest lifetime, so why not decide for the best? And it's not the most expensive. That is also important. There are competitors of this chain who are much more expensive, but have not the long lifetime that the Tsubaki chains are offering.
Interesting. Okay, and then these grease nipples, how do they work? What do we grease with them?
Yeah, we have 4 grease banks, so-called central grease banks, to reach all the bearings of the rollers of the baler. So all the most important bearings you reach with these banks. That's very easy, it's very fast.
And I see one times every 24 hours
Yeah.
Just need to grease them. And will that just be like one quick squeeze and that's it? Or do I need to fill it up? Because I know usually the way that how you grease nipples is also important.
Yeah, normally you can look at the first bearing, for example, when it comes out, for example, it was too much. So normally 1 or 2 strikes are enough.
That'll work.
Yeah.
And this, what is this little wing nut doing there?
Yeah, that is the net tying unit. You see here our basic electronic on this machine. It's a very practical one. So here you adjust the net layers. You see with the minus you just have the minimum of net around the bale, and if you set it up like this you will have 3.5 rounds around the bale.
Awesome. And this little oil can you?
Yeah, that's just also a part of the long lifetime of the chains. So all the chains are permanently lubricated with this pump.
Just get in there. Daar kan julle sien also 2 kwassies. So there's 2 little brushes there that's oiled permanently. Anything special on this side again? For this, was this type of a, looks like a brake or a clutch or something?
Yeah, this is the net brake. You see we are using a disc brake. That has always been the Velga philosophy, because the brake force is very evenly with that, and that is important that the net run is very evenly. So you see we are using a bent foam roller,
Yes.
to guide the net into the chamber, and then now you need the answer why it is bent.
Yeah, I really want to know.
And if you properly break the net roll and you get a certain tension on the net is really tending to climb up the hill. So the more tension you have on your net, the more it will climb up, and that means you cover the bale's edges even better. That is the target of this special unit.
Now I'm speechless actually, because so I just want to understand this. So as soon as you get tension on that net, it basically spreads out the net to the outer edges, because it climbs, as you say, up the hill. That's why it's curved, and then you get a more even distribution of your nets around the bale.
Yeah, that's the target. And of course you can adjust it a little bit. It's not too complicated. So if you see the net coverage is not the best, you will just take this chain and make it a little bit shorter, so that makes the brake being engaged even earlier. That makes the net tension even better. But if you have, for example, not the highest quality net, for example, you just put it in the last one, and then the tension is not that big, so it won't be damaged at the end. So you have easy adjustments for all type of nets. That has always been important in the Velga history, to deal with all types of net, all width of net and all sizes of net. And that is what we are still following.
Okay, so there are these holes here. What are they for?
Yeah, that is also part of the Velga philosophy, to keep the bearings always clean in every condition. Of course, there are always some crumbling losses, some dust coming in, and if you won't have these windows, all the dust would stuck between the wall and the face side of the rollers, and that's not good.
So now they're just basically pushing out there,
Yeah.
the grass out there.
You have a welded pedal on it. You don't see it at the moment. We have to turn the baler around, and you see there's a pedal on it, and this is pushing out all the dirt that comes in.
Awesome. Okay, that's very, very cool. And then there's some hook here at the back, which I do not see on the other balers. What is that for?
Yeah, that's our special mechanical tailgate hook. That means that the tailgate is always closed completely. So not only with hydraulic pressure or something, but really mechanically closed, so the tailgate can't move. And only with this special thing you can reach this huge density that we want to achieve in silage, for example. Because you can imagine, if the silage bale is not really even, then the whole tailgate starts to shake, and we don't want that. We want an even bale at the end, a good bale shape, and that is only possible with a closed tailgate.
Interesting. Okay, so and then you've got a hydraulic drop floor here, which basically lowers down. Okay, so then you've got the hydraulic drop floor. Okay, there I can see it. Okay, so then that basically opens. It's just, we'll take a walk around. I just want to take it from the front. And maak julle sien, as a heel oop. So it just opens. So just explain to us quickly that.
So if you really manage to block this rotor, that's really difficult, especially if no knives are in. It's nearly impossible. This floor can be opened to easily unblock the machine without grabbing with the hand into it, without turning it backwards or something. You just give the rotor more space, and then it is very easy to unblock the machine. And you see, there's one thing which is really important. The blockage mostly occurs in the front part of the rotor, and there it gets really much space, so the rotor can turn again.
Awesome. Okay, that works. And let's get around to the back here. Get inside this baler. Okay, so first of all, just explain the rollers to me. It looks like there's more rollers than in some of the other balers.
Yeah, you see that completely correctly, because we have always 18 rollers in a circle. That's very important. They have a special design, so we are producing these 10 rib rollers out of tubes. That means that these ribs are pressed into the roller afterwards, and that makes it really, really durable. Even in heaviest conditions, they can stand.
So what is the main reason for having a bit more rollers than usual? Is it just more even load spread, or?
Of course, if you have only 14 or 16 rollers, you have less surface to the bale. Just imagine, it's the same diameter of the bale, but you have less rollers. That means that the rollers needs to be bigger, and that means that they have less surface to the bale. You see, as soon as the bale leaves one roller, it comes to another. So you always have a big surface that tries to turn the bale, and especially in dry conditions, it's very important that the bale always turns. So a round baler is nothing if the bale is not turning. It's very important for building up density and also for netting at the end. If the bale stops, you can't do anything anymore. And that's why always 18 rollers, big touch surface to the bale, so that you really have the contact to turn it in every condition.
That really makes sense. And then just in terms of this, I want to say almost this little catch that you've got here.
Yeah, that is important to guide the bale out of the chamber. Also gently guide it down from the chamber, that it doesn't explode or something. And then when the bale has left and you're standing uphill, for example, or you're standing downhill and the bale tries to follow the baler, it keeps the bale away from the tailgate. So if you close the tailgate, it won't damage the bale at the end.
Yeah, because you can't see what's going on behind most of the times.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, and when you get to the left-hand side of the baler here, you can open the flap there and show me what is interesting on this side.
So you see, here is the drive line of the chamber.
Okay.
The most important part of the baler, I would say.
And why is that?
So on this model we have all the rollers driven from this side. So that means all the frame rollers and also the tailgate rollers are driven from this drive line. And yeah, that makes it easy to maintain the machine. And it proved to be very durable. That means also that every roller is driven, every of the 18 rollers. Sometimes people ask how the price is built up, and of course if you are using 18 rollers to ensure the bale rotation and to have this tremendous output of the baler, then you have to drive every roller, and of course it costs also a little bit money.
And because I just want to check here, you can see there's this chain, big chain coming up here.
Yeah.
And
there you see again.
That sprocket there, yes.
There you see again all the main drive chains of Tsubaki brand.
So, yeah. But you've got a proper chain on there, and then that's basically coming down the side here.
Yes, that's right.
Basically to drive every single roller of the lot, and from there on the inside you can see there the chain going up and basically driving all those different rollers.
Yes.
Awesome. And then in terms of, I guess this is just again the lubrication system.
Yep. So in this case we are using brushes here. Brushes, of course, there are different theoretical approaches, but the brushes push out the dirt out of the chain and also bring the oil where it is needed. Not on the surface, but really into the chain.
Perfect. And then yes, so just there's a proper bearing there. This is for the feeder, if I can put it like that.
Yeah, that is the rotor shaft that comes out here.
Yeah.
And it's directly transferred to the pickup driveline, what you can see here. And there's something important, a little bit hidden behind the cover. There's a special clutch. So the pickup protection is made by a special clutch, overload clutch. That means if the pickup really blocks, then the clutch is engaged. You will hear that in your tractor cab.
And then you can just drop the floor and...
Yeah, or drive backwards. With the pickup you have to drive a little bit backwards to go slower into and drive again. But what I want to emphasize is that we are using overload clutch and no share bolts or something like this. So if you have a real big blockage in your pickup, then you will hear it, you will unblock it and you can drive on. You don't have to exchange bolts or something like this, because that really inhibits you from your baling time, and that is downtime, and that is what most of the farmers try to avoid.
That makes a lot of sense. And I just want to get to the net part here, but I think we more or less covered that with that polystyrene thing. And then I just want to know on the big pack balers. So there's these huge fans that cool everything and so forth. Is it necessary on the round balers, or is that not an issue?
No, normally that's really not necessary. We don't have this very small knotters that you use on the big square baler. We just have two rollers pulling in the net, and then the net comes into the chamber between the rollers here, you see, and then the bale itself grabs the net and pulls it around itself. So there's no fine mechanics that we need to cover with cleaning. Of course, every farmer knows, especially if you're working in dry conditions, you have to blow it up once a day, that everything is clean again and you don't get too much wear on your netting unit.
So I just want to know, okay, so you guys are setting this up for the baler race now.
Yeah.
They flew you in, especially from Germany, for this thing. I know, and a bit of things afterwards, but let's say you came in for the race.
Yeah.
So what's the tricks that you're going to apply to this?
Tricks? I don't need tricks with this machine. To be honest, I just try to follow every instruction I get from the user manual, and then the machine is performing well. So we are not planning to outperform here with super fine tuning. The machine will run as it runs when it comes to the customer. That's our target. So there's no fine tuning in the density or something. I just try to drive as it is, because everything else would be not honest to the farmer who wants to see the result at the end.
Thomas, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you.